A long time after the vegetation disappeared, I think 1,000, 1,500 years, something like that, the few ancients that remained discovered an underground water. About every 10 to 20 metres, it varies a lot. They have created an additional water flow by tapping into the side of the water source, and there's quite a flow developing. Okay, this is what we've come here to see. This is another aqueduct, and this seems to perform in the same way as the one we looked at yesterday. There's also snail shell-like holes, wells, going down into the ground we're going to have a look at. There are quite a few of them in this area, and I think there's about half a dozen right here. And as I said before, after this place was deforested, they found an underground water supply, and this is all part of that. There's actually quite a lot to see here with the ancient Nazca people, but it's not easy to find. I don't think they've even got a tourist bureau here. I haven't been able to find one. So you've really got to just suss everything out for yourself. It could be far better presented and easier for the tourist than it actually is. Now, I'm just going down here for the first time. I've got no idea what this is going to be like. It's quite ingenious, actually, the way they did this. Was it 1,500 years ago? That's what they're telling me, or thereabouts. Round and round she goes. And here it is. Fantastic. Look at that. Bloody beautiful. Crystal clear water. Oh, there's an insect floating down. Oh well. All that heartache so long ago, and the water was here all the time. It's quite a substantial construction, actually, and the information saying that this is the original structure. And there's a long line of these just in this area. I think there's about 10. Bloody amazing, isn't it? I'm so glad I've seen this. It's just incredible what the ancients did so long ago. And here it is, exactly as it was 1,500 years ago. Incredible. Not too sure what's going on here, but there's water down there. That'd have to be 12 to 15 metres. And then right beside me here, half a metre below where I'm standing, there's another water source. This water is not clear. Right here, there's a line of about 15 of these circular wells, and the ones up at this end are quite a bit larger in diameter and depth. Right, I've just been buzzing around some sand tracks here, looking for more of these circular wells, and general aqueduct, and I had occasion to ride the bike through some quite soft sand, and there was a couple of spots which I'd rate as bull dust, like those big bull dust holes we used to have on the Norwest Highway before it was all bitumised, and I just cannot believe how much easier the bike is to control. It's without the panniers, without all that weight. There's a serious amount of weight there. I mean, it could easily be 50 kilos. And boy, I didn't even nearly fall off. The bike just sort of sailed through it. It didn't shake his head as much. I didn't need as much throttle. It was quite incredible. Next year when I watch the Paris-Dakar and I watch those guys going through all the sand, I won't feel quite so inadequate. There are thousands of these lines. There are so many, in fact, they haven't even all been documented. And for many of them, there doesn't seem any pattern or rhyme or reason. They crisscross over the entire region often in a dead straight line for many kilometres. I think they're talking sort of 10, 20 kilometres in one direction. It's amazing, really. And it is still not known why they did this. I've ridden out to an ancient burial site about 20 miles south of Nazca. This is a small part of the ancient Nazca civilization. She's a pretty hot, dry barren area here. Here's another burial chamber. It's actually interesting being able to see the skeletons. Helps put the finality of our fragile lives into perspective. It's interesting, I've seen quite a few busloads of tourists on this whole journey, and every now and again I see a busload of older people. That's from me onwards. And from mid 60s through to goodness knows what, very early 80s I suppose. And it ranges from wheelchairs, walking sticks, crutches even, limping badly with arthritis, grossly overweight some of them, and you can see it in their eyes. They're at this great spot and they're thinking, gee, I wish I had have done this 20 years ago. It's very levelling. This is about as good as a Peruvian meal gets that I've seen anyway. All the lunches involve soup, and it's usually quite a nice light broth with a few chicken bones in there. And the main meal is usually chicken, barbecue chicken. It's quite nice. Or the steak is very, very thin. I'm talking 5-6 millimetres. It'd be, you wouldn't get 100 grams out of it anyway. And rice with chips with a tiny little bit of salad. Now that's not a bad meal actually, but unfortunately that's it. If you want something different, too bad. Go to another country. I've had a pretty good look around, and I just haven't been able to find anything substantially different to this. For example, there's no stews nice salads, no curries of course. You can get a fried fish sometimes, which is quite nice, but again it's just got a little bit of rice and salad with it. After a few weeks I'm ready for a steak, but I'm not going to get it here. I've decided to change the tyres on the bike while I'm here. They're very nearly at the end of their life. 90% of tyre failures occur in the last 10% of tyre life. That's just a rule of thumb, and we're certainly down to about the last 10%. So I'm still here in NASCAR attending to these jobs. It's a very amateurish show here. Tyres probably being the most important thing on the motorbike. I'm not really relaxed about it, but I've watched everything he did, but it's a pretty amateurish, very basic job. That's what happens.